Stop scrolling. This is not random, and deep down, you already know that. You did not find this message by accident. And this is not just another video passing across your screen. This is divine timing. Heaven has allowed this word to reach you now because something hidden is beginning to rise to the surface. And if you ignore it, you may miss the very confirmation your spirit has been crying out for. There is a truth about the person you are going to marry that has been concealed behind appearances, assumptions, and timing. And Archangel Michael says, the weight you have been feeling lately is not your imagination. That heaviness was real. That strange stirring in your chest was real. That inner sense that something in your life is shifting, even though nothing around you fully explains it, was real. You have been discerning movement in the spirit before your eyes could recognize it in the natural. Do not dismiss that. Do not call it overthinking. Do not silence what God has been allowing you to feel. Because the one you are destined to marry may not come in the form you expected. And the truth about their actual age may challenge everything you assumed this love story would look like. But listen carefully, this is not a mistake. And it is not a warning to run. It is a sign that heaven is moving beyond your preferences and into prophecy. Archangel Michael says the years attached to this person carry meaning. They carry preparation, hidden battles, private healing, and the exact kind of wisdom your next season will require. That is why this message found you now. That is why your spirit has been restless. That is why what looked delayed was never denied. So let me ask you something before we go further. Have you been feeling deep in your spirit that a major change is closer than anyone realizes? Have you sensed that someone is being aligned toward you, even before you have seen their face? If this word is already speaking directly to your soul, comment 777 below as your declaration that you are ready to receive what heaven is revealing. Type, I receive this divine message, if you trust God's timing over your own understanding. And do not forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this with someone who has been praying for a sign. Because what Archangel Michael is about to uncover next is not small, and it is not ordinary. The truth is, the person you are going to marry may be older than you expected, or younger than you ever imagined. And that detail is not accidental. It is not random. It is not a flaw in the story. And it is not a sign that you heard God incorrectly. It is a part of the design. Archangel Michael says that what may surprise your mind has already been accounted for in the spirit. Heaven does not build destiny around human comfort. Heaven builds destiny around purpose, timing, and alignment. That is why the person appointed to walk beside you may not arrive wrapped in the form you once thought made the most sense. You may have carried a quiet image in your heart for years. A certain age, a certain stage of life, a certain expectation of what your future spouse would look like on paper. But God sees beyond paper. God sees the hidden places. God sees what a soul has survived, what it has learned in secret, what it has lost, what it has endured, and what it is finally ready to carry. The age of this person is tied to those lessons. It reflects the road they had to travel before they could stand in front of you as the one prepared for this union. Every year on their life has been collecting something: wisdom, restraint, healing, maturity, perspective, hunger for what is real. And if they are younger than expected, do not assume that means they carry less. Some souls have been refined by fire early. Some hearts have been trained in surrender long before others ever learn how to bend. If they are older than expected, do not assume that heaven has made you wait for something distant or unreachable. Sometimes the extra years were necessary so this person could become stable enough, clear enough, and healed enough to recognize what they are being entrusted with when they recognize you. Archangel Michael says the number itself is not the revelation. The revelation is what that number represents. It represents preparation. It represents seasons you did not witness. It represents prayers they prayed before your name was ever spoken between heaven and earth. It represents battles they fought that made them softer in the right places and stronger in the places where this relationship will need strength. This is why you cannot measure divine connection by natural assumptions. You cannot judge this union by the old rules. What God is joining is deeper than appearance, deeper than timelines, deeper than what other people would call normal. The person meant for you is carrying exactly what this next chapter of your life requires, and their age is woven into that assignment. It is one more sign that this union was not assembled casually. It was authored carefully. It was built with intention, and when the truth fully reaches you, you will begin to understand that what first looked unexpected was actually one of the clearest proofs that God's hand has been on this story from the beginning. There were seasons when you thought love had passed you by, seasons when the silence felt too long, the waiting felt too sharp, and the questions in your heart felt heavier than your faith could comfortably carry. You may have looked at your life and wondered why certain doors never opened, why certain connections fell apart, why people who seemed promising disappeared, and why the kind of love you prayed for kept feeling just out of reach. But Archangel Michael says what felt like delay was not denial. It was protection. It was mercy. It was the hand of God refusing to release you into something that would have touched your emotions but damaged your purpose. You were not being punished by the silence. You were being preserved in it. And the person you are going to marry was also being preserved. This is why heaven did not let this union happen too early. There were parts of you still healing, patterns still breaking, fears still being exposed, and lessons still being written into your spirit. There were things in them that also had to be confronted, surrendered, and transformed before this connection could carry the weight it was meant to carry. If the two of you had met before the appointed time, you may have noticed each other, desired each other, even tried to hold on to each other, but you would not have been ready for the depth of what this relationship is meant to become. Timing matters when a union has purpose. Timing matters when a relationship is not only meant to comfort you but to refine you, anchor you, and move you into a higher chapter of your life. That is why Ecclesiastes 3:11 says, "He has made everything beautiful in its time." The beauty was never absent. The beauty was being prepared. The answer was never forgotten. The answer was being formed. What you called delay, heaven called development. What you called absence, God called alignment. Archangel Michael says some of the pain of the waiting came because your spirit could feel that something real existed, even before it arrived. You were grieving what had not yet appeared because a deeper part of you knew it was already written. That is why counterfeit connections could not satisfy you for long. That is why almost right people left your spirit feeling unsettled. That is why your heart kept returning to this sense that something greater, holier, and more precise was still ahead. God was not withholding love from you. God was teaching you not to confuse access with assignment, chemistry with covenant, attention with alignment. The years that seemed empty were not empty at all. They were full of invisible construction. Heaven was building in you the capacity to recognize what is real, and building in them the maturity to honor what is sacred when they meet you. So do not despise the years that looked quiet. Do not curse the chapters that felt lonely. Those years were not wasted. They were working. Those lonely chapters were not proof of abandonment. They were evidence that God loved you too much to let you enter this union unfinished, unstable, or unguarded. And now, because the appointed time is drawing closer, what once felt confusing will begin to make sense. The waiting will begin to explain itself. The delay will reveal its mercy. The silence will show you it was never empty. It was full of God. Tell me this, how many times did you think you were being forgotten, only to realize later you were being protected? And if your spirit knows that God has been preparing something bigger than your disappointment, come on, in His timing, and let that be your declaration that you are ready to trust the hand that delayed you, because it was the same hand that has been guarding your future all along. When this person enters your life, it will not feel ordinary. It will not feel shallow, casual, or easily explained away. Something in you will react before your mind can even arrange the words. Something ancient will stir. Something guarded will suddenly go still. And something deep in your spirit will whisper, This is why nothing else could hold me. This is why nothing else could keep me. Because this connection will carry the weight of recognition, not just attraction, not just curiosity, recognition. Archangel Michael says, your soul will know before your logic does. You will feel it in the space around them, in the unforced peace, in the strange sense that time is collapsing in on itself, in the way your heart will not feel like it is performing, chasing, or trying to be understood for once. It will feel seen. It will feel met. It will feel like the part of you that has been standing watch for years finally lowers its guard and breathes. That is how powerful this moment will be. You may look into their eyes and feel something you cannot explain to anyone around you. Not because it is fantasy, not because you are being swept away by emotion, but because your spirit has encountered something it remembers at a level deeper than language. There will be a quiet shock to it, a holy shock, a trembling recognition that says, I have been moving toward this without knowing how to name it. And the reason this will hit so deeply is because this union is not being built on surface things. It is not being built on performance, image, or shallow compatibility. It is being built on a soul-level truth that has survived distance, seasons, disappointment, and delay. This is why the connection may feel older than the moment you are standing in. This is why even the silence between you may feel full of meaning, full of peace, full of an unspoken language that does not need to shout to be undeniable. Archangel Michael says there will be moments when you feel as though you have known this person far longer than the calendar could ever prove, and that feeling will not be there to confuse you. It will be there to confirm you, because when heaven joins two lives with precision, the meeting may happen in time, but the recognition reaches deeper than time. You will begin to understand why your heart refused to settle for connections that looked good but felt hollow. You will begin to understand why counterfeit affection only exhausted you. You will begin to understand why the wrong people could never touch the deepest part of you. No matter how hard they tried, they were never meant to. That place in you was being reserved, guarded, preserved for a connection that would not merely entertain your emotions, but awaken your spirit. And when this person arrives, the difference will be undeniable. You will not have to strain to force meaning onto it. You will not have to beg your spirit to agree with what your eyes are seeing. There will be a gravity to it, a steadiness to it, a sacred pull that does not manipulate, does not confuse, and does not leave you fractured inside. It will draw you, not because it is loud, but because it is true. That is the part many people do not understand. The holiest connections are not always the noisiest. Sometimes they arrive wrapped in stillness so deep it shakes you more than chaos ever could. Sometimes they come with a peace so fierce it exposes how tired you have been. Sometimes they come with a familiarity so profound that every delay, every closed door, every painful ending suddenly starts making sense all at once. And when that happens, the tears may come. Not because you are weak, but because your spirit will realize it was never wrong for waiting. Never wrong for discerning. Never wrong for refusing what was easy but empty. It was waiting for what was real. It was waiting for this. And when that recognition finally breaks open inside you, it will not just touch your heart, it will shake your whole life awake. When this person steps into your life, it will not feel like an ordinary encounter. It will not feel like another lesson. Another connection that stirs you for a moment only to leave you emptier than before. No, this will hit deeper. It will reach places in you that have been silent for years. It will touch the hidden chambers of your spirit where disappointment once sat, where unanswered prayers once echoed, where your heart learned how to wait without fully understanding what it was waiting for. And in that moment, something inside you will recognize what your mind has not yet found words for. Archangel Michael says your spirit will know before your thoughts can catch up. That is how sacred this meeting will be. You may not understand it right away, but you will feel it. You will feel the shift in your atmosphere. You will feel the stillness that falls over your inner world. You will feel the strange and holy sense that you are standing in front of someone your soul has been prepared to receive. Not because everything will be dramatic on the surface, but because something far more powerful than drama will be present truth. The kind of truth that quiets fear. The kind of truth that breaks through confusion. The kind of truth that makes your heart stop running for a second and simply listen. There will be something about their presence that disarms you without weakening you. Something about the way peace settles when they are near. Something about the way your spirit leans forward. Not in desperation, but in recognition. And that recognition will carry weight. It will carry depth. It will carry the ache of every year that led you here. Because suddenly, what once felt delayed will start to look intentional. What once felt withheld will start to look protected. What once broke your heart will begin to reveal why it was never allowed to remain. Archangel Michael says this is why so many connections before this one could not satisfy your spirit. They may have held your attention. They may have stirred your emotions. They may even have looked promising from the outside. But they could not reach the deepest part of you because they were never assigned to it. They were never built to carry the oil, the gravity, the calling, the tenderness, and the holy weight of what is coming now. This connection will. That is why it may feel older than the moment itself, older than the first conversation, older than the first meeting, older than whatever timeline logic tries to place on it. You may find yourself looking at this person and feeling as though some part of you has known them much longer than your natural mind can explain. Not in a way that confuses you, but in a way that confirms you, in a way that shakes you awake, in a way that makes you realize your waiting was not emptiness. It was preparation for recognition. Even the silence between you may feel full of safety, full of meaning, full of a language deeper than words. You will not need everything to be loud in order for it to be real. In fact, one of the signs that this connection is holy may be the fact that it does not throw your spirit into chaos. It brings a deep, piercing stillness, a stillness so powerful it exposes how exhausted you have been from carrying false burdens, false hopes, and false attachments. And when that stillness settles in, your heart may break open in a completely different way, not from pain, but from revelation. You may feel tears rise because something in you is finally being answered, finally being met, finally being seen without striving, without pretending, without forcing yourself to fit into something that was never made for you. This is what recognition does when it is sent by heaven. It does not flatter your flesh. It awakens your spirit. It does not pull you into confusion. It draws you into clarity. It does not leave you fractured. It begins to make you whole. And when this person arrives, you will understand why your soul refused to settle, why your discernment kept interrupting what looked easy, and why every counterfeit eventually lost its power over you. You were not being difficult. You were being guarded for something real, guarded for something weighty, guarded for a connection that would not merely stir your feelings, but shake your life awake with the force of divine recognition. Before this person becomes visible in your life, the signs will begin to intensify around you, not because heaven is trying to confuse you, but because your spirit is being prepared to recognize what your eyes have not yet seen. Archangel Michael says the atmosphere around this union has already started moving, and that is why you have felt moments that seemed too precise to ignore. Repeating numbers, sudden dreams that linger long after you wake, a pull in your spirit that makes no logical sense, an unexplainable heaviness one day, then a burst of peace the next. Moments when you feel as though something is approaching, even though nothing in the natural has changed yet. What you must understand is this: when God is aligning something sacred, the spiritual movement often begins before the physical evidence appears. That is why your discernment has been so restless. That is why you have not been able to fully relax into old patterns, old distractions, or old attachments. Something in you knows that the season is shifting. Something in you knows that what once satisfied you cannot hold you anymore. Something in you knows you are standing near the edge of a chapter your life has never seen before. And, no, you are not imagining it. You are sensing the movement of divine alignment. Archangel Michael says many people ignore these sacred signals because they have been taught to distrust what their spirit picks up before their mind can explain it. But you cannot afford to silence your discernment now. You cannot afford to dismiss every holy nudge as coincidence. The signs are not given to entertain you. They are given to steady you. They are given to keep your heart awake, your spirit alert, and your expectations anchored in God instead of fear. In the days ahead, you may notice that certain songs hit differently. Certain scriptures open up differently. Certain conversations stay with you longer than they should. And certain inner promptings refuse to leave you alone. Pay attention. Heaven does not repeat itself without reason. When a number keeps following you, when a dream keeps pressing on your spirit, when an inward knowing keeps rising no matter how many times you try to bury it, it is often because the Lord is allowing confirmation to reach you in layers, not all at once, not in a way that overwhelms you, but piece by piece, with precision, so that your faith is strengthened before the moment of meeting arrives. There may even be moments when you feel a strange tension, as if your spirit is being stretched between what has been and what is coming. That tension is real. It is the discomfort of transition. It is the ache of leaving one season while another is opening. It is the feeling of being called forward before you have full explanation. But do not fear that tension. It does not mean something is wrong. It means something is moving. It means heaven is adjusting your inner world so you will not miss what has your name on it when it appears. Archangel Michael says the signs will become clearer as the hour draws nearer, and what once seemed scattered will begin to connect with astonishing accuracy. You will start to realize that heaven was speaking long before you had language for it. You will begin to see that the restlessness, the sensitivity, the sudden awareness, the deep pull in your spirit were never random fluctuations. They were signals. Signals that your life is being repositioned. Signals that someone is being brought closer. Signals that this union is no longer a distant idea, but a living movement already unfolding behind the veil. So stay open, stay present, stay prayerful. Do not numb yourself just because waiting feels intense. Do not go back to what God has already emptied out. The signs are growing stronger for a reason, and soon you will understand that your spirit was being warned, prepared, and lovingly awakened for the arrival of a love that was never ordinary to begin with. This love will not arrive as something shallow, soft, and effortless in the way people often fantasize about. It will be beautiful. Yes, it will be sacred. Yes, it will feel like an answer. Yes, but do not mistake divine for easy. Do not mistake ordained for fragile comfort. Archangel Michael says this union is not coming into your life merely to make you feel chosen by another person. It is coming to confront everything in you that still trembles at real intimacy, real accountability, real surrender, and real covenant. This is why the pressure around this connection will be different. It will not be the chaos of counterfeit love. It will not be the anxiety of chasing someone who keeps slipping through your hands. It will not be the torment of trying to force something dead to keep breathing. No, the pressure here will be holier than that, deeper than that. It will come from the weight of being truly seen and no longer being able to hide behind the old versions of yourself that were built for survival, not for union. This relationship will touch the places in you that still need truth. It will expose the places where fear has learned to speak with the voice of wisdom. It will uncover the places where disappointment taught you to stay guarded and call it discernment. It will press against the parts of your heart that have been wounded so long they almost forgot they were wounded. And when that happens, you may feel shaken. You may feel stretched. You may feel the intensity of being loved in a way that does not flatter your brokenness but calls you out of it. That is why you must understand this now. The challenge in this union will not be a sign that you missed God. In many moments, it will be proof that something too real to remain shallow has finally entered your life. Archangel Michael says, many people pray for destiny, but when destiny arrives, they recoil from its weight. They want the promise, but not the process. They want the blessing, but not the breaking of old patterns. They want holy love, but not the holy undoing required to sustain it. But this connection will require more from you because it is carrying more for you. It will require honesty where you once used silence, maturity where you once used impulse, stability where you once used intensity, faith where you once used control, and the same will be demanded of them. Because this is not a union built for performance. It is a union built for truth, built for endurance, built for transformation. There will be moments when old wounds try to rise and speak, moments when the memory of betrayal, delay, rejection, or confusion will whisper that you should pull back before you are hurt again. Moments when the difference in age, timing, or life experience may tempt one of you to question what God has clearly authored. Moments when resistance will come, not always from outside, but from the places inside both of you that still remember fear more easily than peace. And this is why the pressure will feel intense, not because the connection is wrong, but because anything carrying this much purpose will be resisted. Anything sacred will be tested. Anything with the power to break generational cycles, heal inner fragmentation, and call two souls into greater alignment will not pass through the earth without friction. But hear this clearly: friction is not failure. Resistance is not rejection. Testing is not abandonment. Romans 8:28 says, "And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose." That means even the moments that stretch you, even the conversations that expose your weak places, even the seasons where patience is required, can be made to serve the good that God already declared over this union. Archangel Michael says this relationship will teach you how to stay when truth is required, how to listen when pride wants to defend itself, how to soften without collapsing, and how to remain present without losing yourself. This is not ordinary love. Ordinary love often asks very little and gives even less. But the love coming to you is meant to change you. It is meant to refine the way you speak, the way you trust, the way you receive, the way you endure, and the way you carry another person's heart without trying to possess it. You will not be able to live inside old emotional habits and still fully hold what heaven is sending. Something in you will have to grow. Something in you will have to die. Something in you will have to surrender. And that is not tragedy. That is transformation. Do not run when this love asks for more of your maturity. Do not panic when it pulls hidden things to the surface. Do not assume that depth is danger simply because it is intense. The enemy would love to convince you that anything requiring growth must be wrong, because he knows immature love collapses under sacred weight. But Archangel Michael says you are not being led into this union to be destroyed. You are being led into it to be made stronger, clearer, steadier, and more whole. The fire around this connection will not come to consume what is true. It will come to burn away what cannot go where God is taking you. So let this settle in your spirit. This love is worth the stretching. It is worth the pruning. It is worth the honest mirror it will hold before both of you. Because on the other side of that process is not confusion. It is depth, not instability, but rootedness, not performance, but peace, not fantasy, but a bond forged with enough truth to survive real life. Have you ever noticed that the holiest things in your life often came wrapped in the greatest resistance? And if your answer is yes, then write this in the comments: I will not run. Let that be your declaration before heaven, that when the real thing arrives, you will not mistake refinement for punishment, and you will not walk away from what God is using to transform you into the person capable of carrying the love you once only knew how to pray for. This person will not enter your life only as a companion. They will arrive as a mirror, and that mirror will be impossible to ignore. Not a mirror sent to shame you, not a mirror sent to expose you for destruction, but a mirror sent by heaven to reveal who you have become, what still needs healing, and what has been buried under years of survival. Archangel Michael says the one appointed to walk beside you will awaken truths in you that no surface-level connection ever could. They will reflect your strength to you when you are tempted to forget it. They will reflect your wounds to you when you try to pretend they no longer matter. They will reflect your calling to you when fear tries to make you live beneath what God spoke over your life. This is why their presence will feel so powerful. It will not be because they are perfect. It will be because this relationship will carry the kind of honesty your soul has secretly been craving. Through them, you will begin to see parts of yourself you have never fully faced. The hidden tenderness you protected so fiercely, the exhaustion you disguised as independence, the grief you buried under discipline, the hunger for safety you never wanted to admit was still there. And yet this mirror will not only reveal the pain, it will also reveal the glory that has been forming in you all along. It will show you how much stronger you are than what tried to break you. It will show you how much wiser you are than the version of yourself that once mistook chaos for passion. It will show you that you are no longer the person who begged for crumbs and called it love. You are being prepared to carry something weightier now. And this person will help call that maturity out of you. Archangel Michael says they will challenge you, but not to humiliate you. They will stretch you, but not to scatter you. They will inspire you, steady you, and at times confront you simply by being who they are. Their way of loving, their way of seeing, their way of holding truth may press on places in you that have gone untouched for years. There will be moments when their presence feels like both comfort and conviction at once. Comfort, because your spirit will recognize safety. Conviction, because safety will remove your excuses to keep hiding from yourself. That is what makes this union so transformative. It is not just a place where you will be adored. It is a place where you will be invited into greater wholeness. And the same will be true for them. You will also become a mirror in their life. You will reflect back to them what can no longer remain broken, what can no longer remain unspoken, what can no longer remain beneath the level of the calling attached to this union. You will both sharpen one another. You will both expose what is false. You will both draw out strength, courage, tenderness, discipline, and surrender in one another. This is why this relationship is tied to purpose, not just comfort. Comfort alone cannot build what heaven intends through the two of you. Purpose can. Truth can. Mutual refinement can. There will be days when you realize this person is helping you become someone you prayed to become long before you knew their name, helping you speak more honestly, helping you trust more deeply, helping you rest without losing your fire, helping you love without abandoning wisdom, helping you carry peace without becoming passive. That is what a heaven-sent mirror does. It does not merely show you your reflection. It shows you your potential. It shows you what God has been growing in secret. It shows you the person you were always meant to become once fear stopped leading your decisions. So do not be afraid of the mirror this love will hold up to your soul. Do not resist it just because it reveals more than you expected. Archangel Michael says, this revelation is mercy. It is mercy to finally see clearly. Mercy to finally be loved deeply enough that pretending no longer works. Mercy to finally stand before someone who does not just admire your surface, but calls forth the deeper self heaven has been forming in the hidden place. And as that process unfolds, you will begin to understand that this person is not only coming to walk with you, they are coming to help awaken the version of you that can walk fully in truth, fully in love, and fully in the destiny God has been preparing all along. This union carries a purpose far beyond romance, and that is why it has been guarded so carefully by heaven. You are not being led into this relationship merely to feel loved, desired, or emotionally fulfilled, though those things will be part of it. You are being led into a connection that will strengthen your calling, sharpen your discernment, and expand what your life is able to carry. Archangel Michael says this is not just about finding someone to stand beside you in ordinary days. This is about alignment. This is about an assignment. This is about two lives being brought together with sacred precision so that what God placed inside each of you can grow in greater power, greater maturity, and greater impact together than it ever could apart. That is why this relationship will feel weighty in the spirit. It is not only about companionship, it is about agreement. It is about the kind of bond that changes atmospheres, breaks old cycles, and releases healing into places that have known struggle for too long. There are things God will build through this union that neither of you could build alone. There is courage that will rise, stability that will deepen, wisdom that will mature, and fruit that will come forth because the two of you were joined at the appointed time. Even the detail of their age is serving this larger purpose. Every year they have lived, every lesson they have endured, every place where life pressed them and God refined them has been adding something to the oil they will carry into this union. And the same is true of you. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was random. Nothing was outside the reach of divine design. Archangel Michael says when this person arrives, you will begin to see that heaven was never just writing a love story. Heaven was establishing a partnership, a holy partnership, one that will not only bless your own lives, but touch others through the peace, truth, strength, and healing it carries. This is why you must not judge this connection by shallow standards. It was built for more. It was sent for more. And when it fully unfolds, you will understand that love was only the beginning of what God intended to release through this sacred union. What feels unusual to you now will not feel unusual forever. That is one of the deepest truths heaven is trying to settle in your spirit before this union fully appears. At first, you may question the details. You may question the timing. You may question the age difference. You may even question yourself for feeling drawn towards something that does not match the picture you once carried in your mind. But Archangel Michael says, do not confuse unfamiliarity with error. Do not mistake surprise for misalignment. Many of the things God ordains enter your life in a form that first disrupts your expectations before they reveal their wisdom. That is because heaven is not asking you to walk by old assumptions. Heaven is asking you to discern. The detail that seems unusual now may become the very detail that later confirms this was authored by God and not manufactured by your own desires. You may find yourself wrestling in the beginning, not because the connection is false, but because it is pressing against old mental frameworks that were never large enough to hold what God had planned. You may have once believed your future spouse would look a certain way on paper, fit within a certain range, come at a certain stage, or arrive through a path that felt easier to explain. But this union will remind you that God does not need your preferences in order to fulfill His purpose. He needs your trust. He needs your openness. He needs your willingness to let truth correct the images you formed in seasons when you could only see in part. And once your spirit settles, what first looked unexpected will begin to look precise. What first felt unfamiliar will begin to feel deeply right. What first challenged your reasoning will begin to strengthen your faith. You will realize that the age difference was never there to disqualify the connection. It was there as one more sign that heaven had done something beyond your imagination. So do not reject what is sacred simply because it does not arrive wrapped in familiarity. Some of the clearest fingerprints of God appear in the very places human logic would have overlooked. What if the detail you feared would disqualify this connection is actually the detail that proves God wrote it? If this speaks to your spirit, comment? I choose discernment over appearances. This person is closer than you think, and that is why your spirit has not been able to rest in what used to distract you. Something is shifting now. Something is drawing near with quiet force. And even if your natural eyes cannot fully trace it yet, your inner world has already begun to respond. Archangel Michael says the movement surrounding this union is no longer distant. It is no longer only a future idea floating somewhere beyond your reach. It is becoming present. It is becoming active. It is moving from promise into approach. That is why old desires are losing their grip. That is why certain environments no longer fit you. That is why some conversations feel emptier than they used to. Your spirit is making room. Heaven is clearing space. You are being loosened from what cannot follow you into this next chapter. Because what is coming requires inner readiness. Not panic. Not striving. Not obsession. But readiness. You do not need to force this. You do not need to chase every sign, overanalyze every encounter, or exhaust yourself trying to make something happen before its hour. What is for you does not need manipulation to survive. What God has authored will carry its own evidence, its own clarity, and its own peace. Your task in this hour is not to grasp. It is to stay open, stay clean in spirit, stay honest before God. Stay watchful without becoming anxious. Stay expectant without becoming desperate. Archangel Michael says that when the appointed moment arrives, there will be a steadiness to it that separates it from every counterfeit you have known. It will not demand that you betray your peace to keep it. It will not require you to shrink your discernment to make it work. It will not drag you into confusion and call that passion. No, this will come with a holy weight and a strange calm that tells your spirit, pay attention. This is different, so do not be discouraged by what has not happened yet. The nearness of this union is already being felt in the spirit before it is fully seen in the natural. Keep your heart ready. Keep your hands open. Keep your life aligned, because the one you are meant to meet is not as far away as fear has been telling you.